All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As you know, we're here again to do our monthly public speaking presentation. And this month's topic is how do the girls feel? How do we feel about the present political climate? And what can we do individually to improve on our present situation? All right, so without no further ado, I'm going to call on my first presenter. I see Kaylin begging, please, not me. So I'm going to go to Kaylin.
No. My name is Kaylin Thompson, and I'm going to be talking about the topic political climate. In society today and in our political climate, it affects my generation tremendously. With everything going on, it sets a bad example for my generation. For example, in our politics, everything revolves around violence. Bombs being sent here and there is just one example. In this climate, immigrants are labeled as a threat and are taken away from their parents. We live in a climate where police are shooting African Americans for no reason. We are living in a climate where racism still occurs and no one is doing anything about it. We are living in a climate where all Muslims are labeled as terrorists and African Americans are labeled as a lower class or as animals. This is what's being projected to the youth. Our government needs to be fixed. The government needs to have a better understanding of how misrepresentation is segregating our community. Equal opportunities can fix our government by allowing a range of opinions. Violence cannot be the way to deal with other countries that we have problems with. One thing we need to fix about the government is its stability. The government needs to realize that it cannot just shut down whenever it wants to. That left millions of people without pay, and that left millions of people with the thought of how am I going to feed my children. The government needs to have more of an understanding that what they do affects everyone no matter what.
Hello, my name is Brianna Henderson and I'm 10 years old and I attend Denville Park Elementary School. The border. According to CMS Center for Migration Studies, more than 60% of undocumented immigrants who arrived in the U.S. in 2016 overstayed their visas or crossed the border illegally. Donald J. Trump says there's a crisis at U.S.-Mexico border that requires a wall between the two countries. The debate, Trump shut down the government for 35 days. Meanwhile, at the border, nearly 3,000 children were forced to separate from their parents under last year's zero-tolerance immigration policy. This resulted to adults entering the country illegally were prosecuted and any children accompanying them were put into shelters or foster care. But personally, for myself, I think that politicians and people who work with them should do better and to help our country and make equal rights.
My name is Tiona Banton and I'm 15 years old. And the question was, do we need a better government? Yes, I believe we do need a better government and it needs to be fixed, but it should start with the president. The government can be in better shape if we have a better president. With Trump being president of our country, the government will be in all kinds of destroy. For example, he wants the government to pay $5.3 billion for his wall, and not only that, we even had a government shutdown where people wasn't getting paid, getting any tax returns, and losing their jobs, which is unnecessary. Another thing that can happen for us to have a better government is that we need better governors. If we can have better governors run for office and more people to vote for the right person, that can be a big help to our government. With Trump being president and not electing better government, the government might stay the same or even get worse.
My name is Crystal Facey, I'm 15 and I'm in the 10th grade. The political climate in America is currently hostile. This negatively affects my generation. Studies have shown that Trump's America is harming the mental health of teens, especially in minorities. Researchers found that the fear of discrimination has become more common among Los Angeles teenagers as a result of Trump's election in 2016. Furthermore, Trump's proposed U.S. border wall and his travel ban targeting Muslim countries contribute to the fear among teens. For example, Dr. Nia Hurd Garris had a Muslim patient with anxiety who couldn't sleep because of the fear her family would be deported. As a result of this increasing anxiety, teens are likely to turn to drugs as a coping mechanism. A study found that teens concerned about discrimination tend to smoke and drink alcohol. I have never had an experience like this, but I know others who have. Yes, I believe our government needs to be fixed. It is clear that the cause of these problems is President Trump, so to solve these problems, he must be impeached. I would also impeach his cabinet. If President Trump is a racist and corrupt, his inner circle is as well. I would champion this by organizing peaceful protests and petitions for a bill to get him and his cabinet out of office. Change needs to happen.
Hi, my name is Michaela Moss. I'm 6 years old and I go to Different Park Elementary School. The wall has been brought up many of times at the White House. That led to a 35-day shutdown from December 20 to January the 25th. 12 Republicans voted against the president to overturn the emergency. Trump wanted at least $8 million for this project so far. Congress poured $1.7 million and funding for 124 miles of new replacement barrier. My name is Nika Norellis and I'm 7 years old. In today's political climate, we appear to be more interested in hashtags in the well-being of other countries in need, while our own societies falls into ruin. While hashtag All Lives Matter, the lives and rights of Black and brown men, women, and children are being violated daily. Our schools are becoming the place where our social issues surface. As students, we bully each other right to death, and those that live up through it come back to shoot up the schools. Between funding issues and what we are learning, the dream of a college education is slowly becoming an expectation for very few. As we have seen recently, the price of a college education may rest with the price of an admissions officer. As I grow and learn, I realize all of the challenges I must face, like the assault on both of my character and intellect as a Black woman. I see how my parents and everyone they trust work hard to protect me physically and mentally. I will continue to succeed academically as I learn to listen and watch for ways to assist my community. The path is set for me not to only ensure successes for my life, but to help craft successes for others as I learn to take my place in my family's history and look over my kingdom.
My name is Kristen Facey. I am 12 years old and I run the 1, 2, and 400 meter. Today's generation is very different from the past. Immigration, gender identity, police brutality, gun control, border control, racial tensions, and global warming are only some of the problems we face in today's society. But I think that what has really impacted our generation is technology. Our world relies on technology for everything. People isolate themselves away from others so much to the point where they are even afraid of interacting with others. People rather stay at home and watch TV than to go outside and have a conversation with their neighbor. I personally relate to this because I feel as though I rather stay home on my phone than to go out and interact with my family. Soon we won't even have to get out of our rooms. We will have robots to go to work and to go to school for us. Technology has taken over the world and we don't realize it. And the election of our president has dramatically changed the political climate as well. I think the world would be better run if there were more women in leadership, more congresswomen, lawyers, doctors, surgeons, and maybe even our first female president.
Okay, ladies. Overall, today was a pretty good presentation. There was clear understanding of the topic, right? I take issue with one thing. Regardless of how we feel about our president, especially when we're addressing them in a public forum, we should always say President Trump or President Donald Trump. It's not appropriate just to say Trump. All right, let's practice that. A part of politics is diplomacy, and we must always present ourselves with some level of diplomacy. All right, that's the Alpha Elite way, by the way. All right, when they go low, like Michelle Obama says, we go high. A couple of things, ladies. Remember that your peers may understand when you talk fast. Not everyone does. So slow down your presentation some so we can hear you clearly. All right. Take it seriously. Kristen, your presentation was, the topic, the information was good. The laughing become a distraction. Try not to do that. All right. Some of the presentation, they were repetitive in some ways. We repeat the same sentence over and over and over again, or we start each sentence with the same couple of phrases. We have to try to stay away from repeating ourselves. All right. But overall, I think it was a clear understanding of the topic, and there was a lot of opinion on it, which is good. And so the next presentation, we're gonna have a follow-up to this one. All right, we're gonna talk about a different type of political approach, like what is a utilitarian, and how do you consider yourself, what type of person you consider yourself. And we're gonna give you a list of political topics that you can choose from just to follow up on this presentation. All right, but girls, take it seriously and try to present the presentation here. Project, speak clearly, not too fast, and posture is important. Nikki, I want you to work on your posturing. All right, you always have good information to share. But when you start twisting and turning and your hands behind your back, it becomes distracting. So people stop listening to you and looking at what you're doing. Okay, so if you want people to hear you, you have to have good posture. Okay, stand in place, straight up, and speak, and look at people. All right, that's a part of presentation as well. All right, so that's it for me.
So overall, the presentations today were very good. I made notes on individual presentations. I am, however, going to break my feedback up into two groups. I'm going to address the smaller ones first, because obviously I'm holding them and I'm grading them to a different standard than I am you older kids. Very informative. Bree, I loved that you included statistics in your actual presentation, like just bringing to light those numbers, and that's something that speaks volume in society. People understand numbers, they recognize numbers, and that was awesome with your presentation. I love that you chose a specific topic, because our current current political climate is all over the place, and you could talk for days on our current political climate, but you chose a specific topic and you developed that topic to the best of your ability, and that I thought was very awesome from a writing perspective. Same thing with you, Nikki. I thought yours was great as well, minus your fidgeting and your hand behind your back. What I loved about yours was how you talked about what they're doing for you, and how your family and friends and society has put things in place for you to help you be better. And I think that was a part of the question: how would you overcome those things? And so I liked that. The two little ones, you guys are just so sweet. It's so adorable to see you even try to attempt something like this, and that's just absolute merit. So the future of our society, that at that little age that you can talk about something so big and still make an impact. So that was awesome. All right, so to the older kids, that's TT, Crystal, Kristen, Kaylin, right? All right, I'm gonna start with Kristen first. Kristen, the laughing. The information that you were presenting was good. I didn't think you completely misunderstood the question. I just thought you took it in a different direction. Additionally, technology has significantly impacted our political climate in that we have a president that tweets about everything. So it makes what you present so relevant to what we're dealing with today. The only problem I had was that you were just laughing through the whole presentation. I couldn't even put together good notes for you because all I kept hearing was you laughing. So what I'm going to recommend for you is, even if you think you're wrong, be confident in your wrong. You have to be confident in what you're presenting so others can believe in you. If you don't believe in yourself, then nobody's going to believe that what you're saying is worth listening to. So going forward, even if you think you're way off the mark with what you're presenting, you still have to present in such a professional way that others will be able to listen to what you're saying and pick the sense out of the nonsense that you think you're speaking. So that's my feedback for you. For Caitlin, I thought your presentation started off very good, but you were talking so fast. I could barely even digest the information that you were giving me. One of the words that you used a lot, like myself, I'm using a lot, is climate. For almost every sentence that you said throughout your entire presentation, the word climate was in it. And even though you started off with a definition, it seemed like you were rambling on and on because you were using climate so much, versus if you would just spend some time to develop your thought and your concept a little bit more, your presentation would have been awesome. But it just seemed like you were rushing through it. You just wanted to get it over with. You weren't really sure what you were presenting, so you just wanted to get it done and be over. TT, you as well struggled with the word government. You used government in almost all the sentences that you presented. Yours needed to be developed. You needed to do a little bit more work, and at the level, in terms of grade level that you guys are, your writing style needs to change, and that's the whole purpose of this, is to develop your writing style and to give you guys a platform, to a safe environment or a safe platform for you to talk about stuff and get correction and get and develop those thoughts in such a way that when you go out in public and you present yourself, people will see you and say, wow, it's to break those stigmas that you're talking about right now, that there's a stigma with black kids, and there's a stigma in society, and there's a stigma against young females. And so when your writing style needs to be developed a little bit more, so you're presenting definitions and you are giving statistics and you're providing that type of feedback that will basically say, I understand this topic, I know how it impacts me, I understand how it's impacting society, and here's what I am going to do to make a difference. So when you are writing going forward with your different things, you need to start looking at, okay, I'm going to define this question, what the topic is. I'm going to define the topic, define what it means to me, define how it's impacting society, and how I can make a difference on that. So that's something that you can take away. Crystal, you started off very well. I thought that out of all the presentations today, excluding the smaller ones from the bigger group, I thought your presentation was the best. Liked the fact that you actually went out and did some research, and that you included that that your content or the basis of your opinion was coming from an actual research. That was good. I just think you needed to develop your thoughts just a little bit more. I think it would have served you better as well if you had chosen a specific path, chose one area, and kind of just spent some time developing that. You talked about the wall, you talked about depression, you talked about opioids. You were just jumping from different areas, all very, very crucial and very important to our current climate and what's going on. But you were just jumping all over the place. You didn't really develop. You didn't really spend any time to develop any point. And Coach Lee already touched on this, but I do want to stress how important it is for us to address our president as President Donald Trump. It is imperative. Once you lose respect for someone, it's easy to think that it's okay. But the minute you start to disrespect our president is the minute you start to disrespect yourself. You're putting yourself in that place where people can look at you less than. Irrespective of what we think, he is still our president and chief, and we have to respect that. Even though we don't agree with his decisions, we do have to respect him and address him with the correct titles in public. But overall, very good presentation. I am again always honored to hear you guys present, and I look forward to the next presentation. Good job.